Hi, this is Colin Richards, president and founder of Lord & Richards, and I'm excited to be talking to you today on the subject of retiring wiser. And in this segment, we're going to be talking about a new study that's come out by J.P. Morgan. They conduct an annual study on retirement, and the 2022 study is out and available. And this thing is full of valuable and important facts, figures, and other bits and pieces of wisdom that will really help you to plan and prepare for retirement so you can become truly financially independent. And here's the key. You've got to know it to enjoy it. You can't be guessing. You got to know it. And we're going to prove that through science. We're going to prove that through math. And of course, as we're talking about today, retiring wiser, we're also going to use the wisdom that God's given us. So in this study, I've picked out a few highlights. You're more than welcome to pull it up. It's just easy enough to find J.P. Morgan study on retirement. But here's one of the principles. If you're going to plan wisely, to retire wisely, then you've got to factor in age. Now, a lot of times when I sit down and meet with people, they tell me all kinds of different things like, my family's known for its longevity, or my family's not known for its longevity. Here's the wisdom. Unless you currently have a terminal illness, right, or even a chronic illness that is likely to shorten your lifespan, it is best to plan on longevity. Here's why. Across America, if you are 65 years old, and we're going to talk here from the couple standpoint, but again, this applies to both singles and couples. But if you're a 65-year-old retiring couple, 72% of you out there that are already 65 are going to see at least one spouse live into your 90s. And 44% of you are going to see at least one spouse make it to 95. That is huge. That is huge because we're accustomed to looking at our individual life expectancy. We tend to think that in planning for retirement, we should plan for the money to last through our low to mid 80s. Nothing could be further from the truth. And as a planner, as an advisor, together with my team, helping hundreds and thousands of people, we've seen this over and over again. As we've had the opportunity to work with people now for many, many years, we see folks living longer. We see them enjoying life, but also going through the challenges of living longer. So a retirement plan really needs to plan for longevity. And at the same time, when you do this, and we do this automatically in our financial independence review process, you've got to plan for one spouse and part of the income to end early while the other spouse then lives on for multiple years. Typically, the way we plan is for a husband, in the case of a couple, to pass away in his mid-80s at normal life expectancy, and for the wife to live on another 5 or 10 years. She's then going to have lower Social Security because one of those checks goes away, potentially a lower pension, and so forth. So it's really important to build that into a plan. You know how many plans I see that do this, that people bring into me and show me their retirement plan? 0. Okay? So this is really important. What I'm sharing with you is critical and vital. Secondly, a key principle that we learned is that most people out there are expecting to make it a good while before they have to retire, ideally 65 or older. So the assumption is I'm going to be working right up until I'm 65 or older. Therefore, I don't need to be maybe as worried as I might otherwise be if I was trying to retire at 60, 61, 62. Here's the reality. 64% of workers are planning to do just that. They want to live to 65 or beyond. A lot tell me full retirement age, which is now 67 for most of the population. The actual number is startlingly lower. You know how many make it to 65 before they stop working, before they lose that income? Only 28%. The actual average is 62. 62. This means a lot of people are having to file for Social Security much earlier than they plan. So one of the things that you want to do is build in a plan. Well, what's going to happen if we're going to lose income earlier than we thought? Here's the top 3 reasons why people have to retire earlier, okay? Number 1, health. Number 1 cause, health. That accounts for the largest percentage. Their own health pulls them back. Now, we live in a wonderful climate. We live in a wealthy, educated country, but it's startling to realize that the majority of people are not making it to 65. We need to account for that in your plan. Does yours? Secondly, company downsizing, an event out of your control. And then it's really challenging. I've worked through clients who want to get employed again, who maybe are left one job and they're finding that in their early 60s, it's really, really challenging. Does your plan account for that? And then thirdly, care of a spouse, care of a loved one, care of a family member. We're walking this through right now with several of our clients. One is having to move across the country to care for her mom, quitting her job. Her husband's having to get a new job in the new location. Notice that 2 of those 3 had to do with healthcare, either yours or another's. So this means that healthcare is one of the number one derailers of retirement plans. It's one of the number one reasons why people stop working early, draw on their savings and Social Security early, and live a lower lifestyle than they planned in retirement. Critical, critical, critical that we take this wisdom and apply it. We're going to need to test that for you. Here's another key area of that study. Many of you have heard me use the various phases of retirement. They're not unique to me. I didn't invent these, but they're really descriptive. The first phase of retirement we call the GoGo Years. This is when you're ready to roll. If you're into travel or seeing the grandkids or taking a road trip or pursuing a hobby, generally in that first decade or so of retirement, anywhere from 60 to 70. That's the GoGo Years. And you know what? In our planning, we need to plan for you to spend about 100% of what you used to spend when you work. This is another classic mistake that unfortunately people don't address in their plan. And rarely do I ever see anyone address this, even in the financial planning world. You're going to need all of the money that you needed when you were working. Don't be deceived by people who say, well, you're going to need less. You're going to live below the same standard. Your expenses are going to be lower. It's quite the opposite. Think of it this way. During your working years, which days of the week do you spend the most discretionary money? Well, it tends to be weekends, doesn't it? Now tell me, what's retirement like? Well, it's a whole bunch of weekends. So we need to count on that. A lot of times we even add an additional allotment. We call it a lifestyle enhancement to pick up the pace. Then the second phase we call the Slogo Years. Slogo, from 70 to maybe 80. Generally during that time, we're slowing down a little bit. Maybe we don't want to take those trips. We're hanging around home. We're gardening. We're spending 20 to 30% less. And then the final phase, some people call them the no-go. I call it the won't-go. I remember seeing this with older adults over the years, that a lot of times you have a spouse that still wants to keep moving. A lot of times the wife, if it's a husband-wife situation, and maybe the husband just wants to sit at home and watch TV, right? He's not going to go. So we call it the won't go years. Okay, that's from 80 plus. But what we find is those expenses go back up to about 100% or more due to higher healthcare costs. And again, there's that healthcare thing. So I'm going to address this again in our next segment, but I want us to realize that there are some real challenges that most people are not preparing for. The good news is that in our financial independence review process, we address these, we simulate these, we stress your portfolio out in case you have to retire early or a spouse gets sick or someone passes away early and you've got less money and the potential for a lowered standard of living. Are you okay? We can give you that with a high degree of certainty. It just involves a conversation. As I said, it's called a financial independence review. And we get together and we talk about your goals, your dreams, your values, what's important to you. And it just takes a conversation. So I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to visit with you together with my team.